They never saw this coming because they were too busy watching my silence and mistaking it for weakness, not knowing that silence was where everything was being built when no one believed, when no one checked, when no one cared. I was still showing up, still training, still disciplining my mind, while the world moved on and forgot my name. And that was the advantage being overlooked. Gives you space, and space gives you freedom. Freedom to rebuild without pressure, without expectations, without noise. I learned early that loud people seek attention, but disciplined people create outcomes. So I stopped talking about goals and started stacking days. I stopped explaining my absence and started investing in myself, because explanations don't change. Reality, results do. And while they were busy chasing comfort, I was learning how to live without it. I trained my mind to stay calm when things felt unfair, to stay focused when progress felt slow, and to stay committed when quitting felt reasonable, because the real test of strength isn't how you perform when things are easy. It's how consistent you remain when nothing is rewarding, when effort feels invisible, and when doubt whispers that it's pointless. I learned to ignore that voice and replace it with action, because action silences doubt better than motivation ever could. I stopped reacting to disrespect and started responding with growth, because reacting gives power away, and I wasn't giving anyone that control anymore. Every day became a quiet battle against my old habits, my old mindset, and my old limits. And slowly, without announcement, something changed. My standards rose. My tolerance for excuses dropped, and my confidence stopped depending on outside approval. I didn't need applause because progress was enough. I didn't need validation because discipline gave me certainty. And certainty is stronger than confidence, because confidence can fade, but certainty is built on proof. Proof that you showed up when it was hard. Proof that you stayed consistent when it was boring. And proof that you didn't quit when no one was watching. I understood then that most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they lack control over their emotions, their impulses, and their patience. So I trained control daily, choosing structure over chaos, routine over randomness, and long-term results over short-term pleasure. And while others talked about change, I became it quietly, steadily, relentlessly, until the gap between who I was and who I used to be became impossible to ignore. And that's when the same people who underestimated me started paying attention, not because I demanded it, but because reality forced them to results. Don't ask for permission. They arrive and shift the room instantly. I didn't feel pride, I felt calm, because I knew this moment was earned, built during nights of discipline, mornings of sacrifice, and days of silence. They never saw this coming because I never announced it. I never argued my potential, and I never tried to prove anything to anyone. I simply did the work and let time reveal the truth, that the silent ones aren't weak. They're preparing, and when preparation meets opportunity, the outcome looks sudden to everyone else. But to me, it was inevitable because I stayed when others quit. I worked when others talked, and I trusted discipline when motivation disappeared. And now I move differently, not louder, not arrogant, just controlled, because the strongest statement you can make in this world isn't what you say. It's what you become when no one is watching. And that is the power of the silent alpha. And the truth is, the silence didn't just change my results, it rewired my identity. Because when you spend enough time alone doing hard things without praise, you stop performing for the world and start building for yourself. And that shift is dangerous, because a man who no longer needs approval cannot be controlled. I learned to trust routines more than emotions because emotions fluctuate, but routines compound. And every day, I showed up. I deposited proof into my own mind. Proof that I could be relied on. Proof that I would not quit when it was uncomfortable. And proof that discipline works even when motivation disappears entirely. I stopped measuring progress by feelings and started measuring it by standards, kept days completed and promises honored, because growth is not dramatic, it is cumulative. And while nothing seemed to be changing on the surface, everything was changing underneath. Habits were aligning, thoughts were sharpening, reactions were slowing, and patience was expanding. And that internal order created external momentum. I became deliberate with my time, cutting distractions without apology, reducing noise without explanation, and protecting focus like it was oxygen. Because focus is rare, and rare things create leverage. I noticed how most people confuse movement with progress and urgency with importance, while avoiding the quiet, repetitive work that actually moves the needle. So I leaned into repetition, refining the same basics until they became automatic. Because mastery is not complexity, it is depth. And depth requires boredom, endurance, and humility. I learned to accept delayed rewards without frustration, because impatience reveals a lack of belief in your own process. And belief is built when you see yourself follow through consistently, even when it costs comfort, social approval, and ease. I watched the gap widen between me and the people who once ran alongside me. Not because I was better, but because I was more consistent. And consistency over time looks like talent to those who refuse to practice it. I stayed neutral in moments of praise and unmoved by criticism, because both distract from execution, and execution was the only thing that mattered. I learned that momentum is fragile early and must be protected with silence, because premature exposure invites doubt, interference, and comparison. So I kept my head down and my standards high, letting days stack, weeks stack, months and months reshape outcomes. And when the results began to surface, they did so quietly. First, subtle shifts in confidence, clarity, and control, followed by tangible proof that the process was working. And by then, I no longer needed recognition because the internal victory had already been secured. This was no longer about proving anyone wrong. It was about honoring the version of myself that kept going when no one was watching. When quitting would have gone unnoticed, and when excuses would have been accepted, because that is where character is revealed, not under observation, but under isolation and pressure. And as the world finally began to notice the change, I stayed the same, calm, focused, and reserved, because true power does not announce itself. It sustains itself. And that is why they never saw this coming. Because the transformation didn't happen in public. It happened in private, where discipline replaces desire, where silence replaces ego, and where results are forged long before they are seen. And when the results finally became undeniable, I didn't feel the need to celebrate, because celebration is loud, and I had already learned that loud moments fade while quiet standards last. What I felt instead was calm certainty, the kind that comes from knowing you earned every inch of progress through restraint, repetition, and resolve. I understood then that the real reward of discipline isn't attention, it's freedom. Freedom from doubt, freedom from emotional swings, and freedom from needing anyone to validate your direction. I moved differently, not because I wanted to be noticed, but because my internal standards no longer allowed regression. Once you experience what it feels like to fully trust yourself, to keep promises under pressure, you can't go back to negotiating with weakness. I became selective with my words because most conversations are distractions disguised as connection. And I became selective with my environment because energy shapes behavior and behavior shapes outcomes. I stopped reacting to provocation because reacting hands control to others, and control once surrendered is difficult to reclaim. So I stayed composed, letting consistency speak in rooms where explanation used to be required. I realized that most people are loud because they are uncertain, and most noise exists to cover insecurity. But when your foundation is built on discipline, silence feels natural, not forced. I didn't rush success because I understood that speed without structure collapses, and structure without discipline is empty. So I trusted the pace that allowed permanence, and while others chased recognition, I focused on durability, building habits that would hold under pressure when motivation disappeared and circumstances shifted. I learned that discipline simplifies life, because when standards are clear, decisions become easy, and when decisions are easy, energy is preserved, and when energy is preserved, execution improves. This is how control compounds quietly, day after day, until it becomes visible as confidence, competence, and presence. The kind that shifts a room without a word being spoken. And when people finally asked what changed, I didn't answer because answers invite debate, and results end conversations completely. They never saw this coming because I never announced my growth, I never defended my path, and I never tried to convince anyone of my potential. I simply honored my commitments in silence, stacked disciplined days without witnesses, and allowed time to do what it always does, reveal who was consistent and who was just loud. And that is the final truth. Success doesn't arrive with noise. It arrives with proof. And proof doesn't need permission. It just stands there, undeniable, unexplainable, to those who weren't willing to do the same work. And if you understand this, then you already know the path. Stay silent, stay disciplined, let the work compound, and let the results make the noise. And if this message aligns with you, don't scroll past it. Subscribe now and stay connected with Silent Alpha, because what's coming next will meet you exactly where you are and push you where you need to go. And remember, this move quietly, stay disciplined, let consistency build what words never can. And if this mindset speaks to you, subscribe now to Silent Alpha and stay ready, because the next message is coming when you need it most.